kitchen. Right now I'm waiting for my food to heat up on the stove. I'm gonna take y'all over there in a minute, but I just want to start off with what I'm drinking. So I am drinking Issa Co Sweet Blush. This wine, I've never had this. This is my first time trying this on camera with you all. So this is an American table wine. Issa Co wines have won national and international acclaim and have become the pride of Texas. Taste for yourself. The premium wine with the accent of Texas. What does that even mean? It's lightly sweet with a crisp finish and aromas of fresh strawberries and raspberries. We recommend this versatile wine served chilled with cheese, fresh fruit, turkey, or zesty southern dishes. I'm eating some ramen today, so maybe kind of like turkey. It got pork belly in it, but I'm gonna show y'all that in a minute. Let me just go ahead and get my wine stopper. Un momento. And we just gonna keep this right here. But travel with me as we go to my kitchen. I'm knocking stuff over. Let me see if I can get y'all in there. So today's meal, ladies and gents, it is ramen. I got it from Ginza and Poke. I'll insert their information if you live in Texas. I'll insert their information to where I got it. But I like to heat up my ramen and stuff in my hot pot because that's why I purchased it. And I just feel like it's way more authentic when I do that. I also have like a little plate that it goes on so I can carry it. But anyways, today I just felt like I wanted some ramen, and typically I do this at home with some meats and stuff that I cook, and I'll just get like a regular ramen noodle pack. But I like their pork belly, and I got pork belly ramen with extra pork belly, the sauteed mushrooms. What else I get? Green onions. Yeah, I don't do the fish cake, and I don't do the egg. I just don't like that personally, and I don't do bean sprouts. Over time, I stopped liking bean sprouts, so I don't know, I don't do that anymore. While this cools off, let's talk about some things. So, this is crazy. This is not the type of channel that I thought I would have, but really, I love just talking about whatever, and I love eating. And I already started my podcast, but I was like, how can I incorporate food into something that I do? And I don't want it to be like a cooking channel, right? So I have Instagram, I have my TikTok page, and I'll insert here where I just kind of like put food that I make on there. And sometimes if you're a cook, like if you're somebody who's familiar with cooking, you'll already kind of know and catch up. I don't do like the step-by-step thing, but when I eat, like I grew up with my dad, we ate and we talked. And even when I go out with my friends, like some of the best conversations and stuff that I have is when I'm eating. You get to eat, you get to drink a little, you get to open up, you get to relax and just fellowship. And I thought, what better way to incorporate who I am as a person into my channel as I'm coming back to YouTube. And it's just doing what I do all the time. Drinking some wine and eating some food. So with this, what did I get? I think it's just a regular bone broth. I cannot remember the regular name of it. Pork belly, which their pork belly is really good. I added spice to it because I like spicy food, but I'm over 30 now, so I can't be doing like a whole bunch of spice. And this was a pretty big order, so I just chopped up everything. I love how Asian food restaurants, like they give you everything separate. So that way you're not wasting your noodles because you're putting it in the broth and things get soggy and they spoil a lot faster. So I split up a lot of my stuff in half. It's just sitting over there. So if I'm still hungry, I'm gonna just be eating. And y'all, this hot pot, I don't know if y'all can see like waves, but this thing stays hot for forever. I put all my soups in this now. But today's topic, I don't even know. I just wanted to come here and just kind of tell y'all what I'm doing on my channel, what's going on with me. There's been plenty of hairstyles, but okay, this video specifically is not old. This is my hair now. Today is December 29th, 2021. This is what I look like. Because I've been posting stuff on my Instagram page, and this ain't been seen in some time. I think the last time my real hair was out, I was kind of bald head. My last like buzz cut was in August, and I just decided, screw it, grow it out. It's getting cold. And my scalp be getting cold, y'all. Like, it's crazy. But let's talk about insecure, right? Let me get some of this first. So, this thing cooked really fast, and I hate having an electric stove because everything cooks really fast. I'm gonna put a little bit more of the broth that I have and just mix that up because I like the soup. This the broth. I don't like doing miso broth because when they season the food has salt in it, and then my ramen be like extra salty. And the only time I do chicken broth is if I get something with chicken, but even still, they season their chicken, especially their grilled chicken, they season it very well. So this broth is just very, it's like a base. I won't say that it's unseasoned, but it doesn't take away from the meat, and it doesn't give unnecessarily over seasoning. But ooh, y'all, insecure just ended, and honestly I just stopped crying today. I watched the documentary 3 times. I watched the episode 4 times, y'all. I don't even know where to begin. This broth is thick. I did half the spice, but the spice is so good. This ain't like no mukbang. I don't know, it might be in the realms of it. But, look at this. I love to eat, y'all. So while this is cooling off outside of this pot, so let's start at the beginning. I don't remember how I happened upon Misadventures of Awkward Black Girl, but I know I was in Korea, and it was 2011, and that's when the web series started. And just blew my mind. I think what really stood out to me the most was there's this girl, she just graduated college, and she's doing this web series. She's dark skinned, and all of her hair is cut off. Now, my hair at the time was long. I had been cut my hair. I think by that time I had cut my hair 3 times. But it wasn't really like a natural hair movement. I think the only other person who cut off their hair and it was a big deal was Solange. And then there was like nothing, right? Solange did it in 2009, I think. But then we see this dark-skinned woman with no hair, awkwardly rapping, being weird, working at a place where she really don't like these motherfuckers. And I was like, I vibe. The opening scene is with Andrew Allen, and I actually interviewed him in 2012. We did a Skype interview because I was bold, and I had this idea of just showcasing Black talent, very similar to Issa, right? I just had this idea of showcasing Black talent, and I like started a website and everything. But just the opening scene, she like rapping to some ratchet shit, and he calls, and she's like, ignore. And then he pulls up next to her. No, was she in the car? He's calling, right? But when she goes to this place, and she's like, ignore. And he comes up behind her, and she's like, did you just ignore me? And she's like, no. It was just weird. And I just, for the first time, saw my foot keeps slipping. Saw a weirdo on screen, whether it was the silver screen or YouTube or whatever. Like, she was a weirdo. Who told me to do this? Look at my face. Hold on. I look like Halle Bailey looked on the trailer of Talks with Tina when she ate that gumbo. And I cannot wait to go home because my aunt makes bomb gumbo. I'm so excited. Anyway, boom. And so the rapping, I wrote rhymes. Like, growing up, I'm always writing raps. Doing rap battles and stuff in school. So I'm just like, I get to escape through Issa and through all these characters. And when she walked down the hallway, when she first met Cece, and she walked down the hallway, and she like waved once. And she's walking down again, and she's internally like, damn, I just saw this bitch before. Like, do I wave again? Oh, let me go. Oh, what is this on the wall? Like, I'm like, I walk down the hallway, and when I don't want to speak to people, I'll just pretend something's on the wall, or I'll like look at my finger. There's nothing on my hand. I just don't want to speak. And that just like propelled me into all things Issa Rae. It just propelled me into her life. And so I've been following her ever since. So Insecure comes out, and, you know, we jump right into the middle, just like the web series did. There was no introduction. The very first episode, she's talking about how she had a crisis and she's cutting her hair off in the mirror. So you see, and you jump right into it, and we're following these characters, and we're following these friends, and we're following these relationships through 6 years, 5 seasons. And they took us on this journey of what it looks like to be approaching your 30s and looking around and feeling as if you have no success, and then coming on the other side of that. So let's explore that real quick. This is so good. So very similar to the character Issa, you know, I think we've all had our moments where we wake up and we look in the mirror, and aside from like a bummy ass dude sleeping on our couch for 4 years, we all have that moment where it's like, is what I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing? And am I going where I want to go, or where I always thought I was going? And I had those same reflections right before my 30th birthday. I was married. Things were not the best, but like, I'm trying to like find me in this process. I'm trying to like deal with a miscarriage and what that means for my life. I'm trying to deal with turning 30 and what that means for my life. You know, I ended up walking in like a couple of model shows that year leading up to my 30th birthday, but I'm just kind of like, how do I take a chance on myself and really step into my purpose? Navigating friendships and navigating vulnerability and your own insecurities, and then thinking that you're being open and stuff with your friends and your families, and you realize like you're not vulnerable because you're insecure in the things that you have, and you want to hide that. And we see through Issa and Molly that they were not even vulnerable with each other, even when they thought they knew, because they were incapable of being vulnerable with themselves. Issa's mirror bitch was like her self-doubts, but she was never truthful and honest with mirror bitch. She was just having conversations, and there was like a back and forth. But there was never what we saw in season 5, where Issa looks at herself in the mirror and says, you know, when mirror bitch was like, bitch, it don't ever work. And Issa goes, but what if it does, right? We have those moments where we're just like, this ain't gonna work, this ain't gonna work, this ain't gonna work. And we never respond to our inner selves on, well, bitch, it might. Like, it might work. And then we jump into that. And it ends the series with Issa in her 30s, 33, finally like doing what she's supposed to do. Not necessarily secure, because I don't think there's ever a state of like 100% security, but I think she's secure in that even with her own self-doubts, she can take a risk on herself and know that if it doesn't turn out how she envisioned, she can accept what the new product will look like, so long as she just trusts herself and just has people that supports her. And that's where I am in life, and honestly is why I'm here right now talking to y'all on YouTube. I know what I want my life to look like. I have no idea how it's gonna look, but I'm accepting that if it doesn't go the way that I think it's going to go, or everything that I want it to go, I'm open to my dream morphing. So just like when you're sleeping, the dream changes. And we have to be able to allow ourselves that grace to have our dreams change in real life. The moment we box ourselves in the way Molly did, right? The moment we box ourselves into what we think we should hit as specific milestones, who our life partner is going to look like, how many kids we're going to have, what type of hair they're going to have, the job, and where I'm going to be in my life. The moment we box ourselves in, we limit our growth. And we saw with Molly in season 1, she knew she needed to grow, but she didn't know how. And in her growth, growth is ugly. You lose friendships in growth. You lose yourself in growth because you're shedding who you once were. But we saw Molly fighting what she knew needed to be done because she still was putting this construct around herself, a construct in relationship. Andrew could have been a great relationship, but she still boxed everything in because she's like, it's gonna go like this and like this and like this and like this and like this. And it wasn't. And she didn't know how to cope with the changes and didn't know how to cope with what that dream could look like. I'm trying to cope with this bill. One of the things I liked about Molly's journey, because I saw myself in both Molly and Issa. One of the things I liked about Molly's journey was the therapy and seeing her lie to her therapist. Lying to your therapist is lying to yourself. You can't get real help if you're not bringing the real issues. And I loved how they explored her lies. And then when she finally got to a point where she's like, I'm trying to grow, and I think I'm doing things differently, but nothing is changing. She picked up the phone and she called Dr. Rhonda again. Because now she got to the point where it was like, okay, I need help. And so often we as Black women refuse to ask for help. We refuse to say that we're not okay. And you can only do so much. You only have the skills that you develop yourself. If you don't bring someone else in to offer you new skills or to refine the ones that you have, your product is going to stay the same no matter if you move differently or not. The product is the same because it's a product of your personal mastery. It's not a product of any type of collaboration of any sorts with anybody else. So Molly collaborated with Dr. Rhonda and then finally began collaborating. Okay. Thank you, Leslie. She then collaborated within her friendships. And even when she caught herself saying, oh, it's tough, I'm gonna be fine. And Issa saying, it's okay if you're not okay. Breaking down, right? Breaking down with her intimate partner, Victorian, where she just cries. And sometimes you just gotta cry because it's hard when you're trying to do everything. And it's hard to just admit to yourself that everything is not okay. And I found myself in this journey of watching Insecure. I'm in that journey. And the last episode, them getting that breakthrough, I'm like crying because I'm also breaking through and I'm seeing me, I'm seeing my life, I'm seeing the weirdo, the normalcy, I'm seeing the perfectionist, I'm seeing the person that was so hard, the person that was fighting against herself to be free and to flourish is flourishing. And that was just pivotal and ridiculously emotional. I'm like 1,000% sure that I was Asian in one of my past lives. My comfort food and my go-to food is Asian food. And when I'm sad, I will eat pho all day. But People been telling me like, oh, try ramen. And there was like a couple of ramen places out here that I did not like. Like I did not have a good experience. So then I was on Google and I'm like looking up this place and I'm looking at the reviews. I don't really necessarily read reviews like that because I don't want to be skewed. But I was reading these reviews because I really wanted some ramen, like out of nowhere. I'm like, I want ramen. I don't want no ramen noodles, right? I don't want no oodles and noodles. And this is like, I don't even know if it's a comfort food. I'm eating this because it brings me joy. I'm not sad. I'm happy and I want to be happier. I'll eat this all day. Probably why I won't gain no weight, but when I don't want to cook, I'm out dropping my dog off and I'm like, I'm getting me some ramen before I go home. But did I want Issa and Lawrence? Yes. Did I need to go through what they needed to? Yes. A lot of people hated their relationship arc, but season 1, the first episode of season 1 and the last episode of season 5, they're like mirror images to me. Issa's asking herself, what's she gonna do with life? It's her birthday. Her nigga forget her birthday. He laying on the couch, he ain't doing shit. She's carrying the relationship. She's carrying the financial burden in LA. To her even asking him, you know, maybe we should take a break. We need some time apart. Let's grow apart. He didn't want to grow apart. He didn't want to do those things, right? To the last episode, it's her birthday. He at home. She coming home from work, a job that she loves. He has his shit together. He's not on the couch. And them being forced apart. I've been in a relationship where I asked for separation and then it was like, well, no, we can work it out. And then it doesn't work. So they were forced to separate. You know, Issa is starting to wonder. She's starting to wonder what if she cheats. So they're forced to separate. And now they don't have each other as a crutch. They were nothing to one another. They resented each other within their relationship and they were only together because it was familiar. And they were afraid. Even Lawrence was insecure to step out on himself. You have this great idea and you're doing nothing with it, right? So they're both two insecure people who can do nothing for each other. They break out, they go their separate ways, but Lawrence is still hiding behind a company even though his ideas are much better and he can do more work outside of them. Issa hiding within NBW, even though she knows she's capable of more. And then even when they tried to come back together, they still weren't stable in their work life. Like, this was a couple that needed stability in something so that once they knew they were stable, they could then devote that time to stabilize their relationship. And that's real life. Like, sometimes, you know, we're afraid to let go because we're like, we're never going to come back to each other. But in season 4, we saw the writers show us that they were meant for one another. But it just was not the right time. And I love how they made them and they took that time apart. And life happened. And they were still able to mature and grow up and know, like, we are for one another and everything happened to us for a reason. And we are solid. He got his office, she got her office. They are solid. And I love that for them. I think a lot of times we make the term space very negative. You ask for space and somebody's like, oh, you want to break up? Oh, if you give me space, then I ain't coming back. At that point, you're not for me, because if you can't accept that we need room to grow outside of one another, then how are we going to be two individuals? We're creating a relationship identity. My identity is not going to be my relationship. And when your identity is solely your relationship, you have none. Like, even in the beginning with Insecure, they were a pair. And then they didn't really know how to function with their own friends outside of being a parent. They didn't know who they were. And I think it's just very important to really find out who you are and be who you are and stand firm in who you are and be secure in who you are so that you can bring something to a relationship and be secure in that relationship and to be able to come together and then go your own separate ways, have your own separate friends, come back together, be with one another and still be 100% you and they be 100% them and then your relationship is just 200% y'all motherfuckers doing whatever. So I thought that was really beautiful and I think it's going to go down in history as one of the greatest shows ever. And I also think that it gave us the closure that we needed for so many other shows before it that paved the way. Like, we didn't really get a real ending to Living Single because all the writers went and started devoting their time to Friends, which was plagiarism of Living Single. We didn't get an ending to Girlfriends. We got a fucked up ending to Martin because of everything that happened. So this was like the ending the culture deserved. And the beginning that everybody who was normal, everybody who's not the quote unquote boss bitch, or everybody who's not the high powered whatever. Like, we saw we saw the nonprofit worker. We saw normal women do extraordinary things because they were simply extraordinary in their own gifts. And that just summed up so many shows for me as a Black woman. And I'm so grateful and thankful to everybody that was involved to be able to create that, because it's been like 5 days and we're never going to not talk about, like, we're never going to stop talking about Insecure and what Insecure did for any of us. So on that note, I'm about to finish eating this food, finish drinking this wine, and I'm gonna see y'all at the next time in Kivonshe's kitchen.